Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Okay, here we go. Now, as promised, now I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah. So of course, like this is going to contain some spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you may not want to watch this until you have. Yeah. So I went to see this movie this past Sunday. Yeah. I know it's taken a few days for me to actually make this video, but yeah, it's just that, like I was talking about with like when I started like reviewing the other two movies. And it took me like a couple of days to actually start because, yeah, I just like some stuff was going on, so yeah, I just like didn't really get around to making them. Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing here. Just like some stuff has been going on, and yeah, I've just like been like haven't gotten around to actually making this video yet. Yeah, but yeah, here I am to finally make the video. Yeah, yeah, so going into this movie, yeah, like I was saying before, like I really didn't know really what to expect from it. Yeah, because yeah, with the first two films, like I said, like how just yeah, the stories for like the first two films, like the stories that these Jurassic World films have been telling, the story really hasn't been that interesting, to be honest. Yeah, the stories that these films have been telling has been like pretty absurd and over the top for the most part. Yeah, and like I said, just yeah, these characters aren't like really interesting. Like Owen and Claire really aren't interesting, and yeah, and the characters that were introduced in the second film really weren't that interesting. Yeah, so these films just really haven't really had much to offer. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, like with this film, I was looking forward to it because yeah, as a like I was saying, like this film did bring back the original characters. Like they did bring back Dr. Grant, Dr. Malcolm, and Dr. Sattler. So that seeing that they were finally bringing back the original characters, which is what they should have done in the first place with these Jurassic World films. Yeah, yeah, I finally was looking forward to one of these movies, and this was a film that finally did want to see, and it really did finally make me actually interested in the Jurassic World films. Finally, yeah, yeah. So I really was looking forward to the film. And going into it, like I really didn't know really how it was going to turn out because yeah, critics really are not really giving this film a lot of love. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, this film only has a score of 30% on the tomato meter, but it does have a pretty good audience score. So I just really wasn't sure how this film was going to turn out. Like, was this film actually going to be good? Was it just going to continue to be stupid and absurd, and just not really be a very good conclusion to the story? Yeah, so I just really didn't really know what to expect with this film, like how it was going to turn out and how it really was going to pan out with them bringing back the original characters. Yeah, so I really wasn't too sure what to expect from this film going into it. But yeah, after seeing the film, I gotta say, I actually did like this film. I actually did think this film was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, of course, like as I said, like the story for these Jurassic World films, the story has been like pretty absurd. So yeah, so as a conclusion to the story for this trilogy, like I did think that for what they had to work with, this film, I think actually he did do a pretty nice job with it. Like, he didn't really have like a whole lot to really work with, and yeah, and plus with how the second film ended, like I just really didn't know like what they were gonna do with it. Plus, and it just like seemed like really stupid that they actually like freed the animals out into just to roam free in the earth. So I really wasn't too sure like really what they were gonna do with this, how they what they were really gonna do to like show the aftermath of the animals of the dinosaurs now being freed into the earth. You know? Yeah. But yeah, what they did, like well I did think that they overall they did a pretty solid job with it. Yeah. Like I said, there really wasn't a whole lot to work with the film, but yeah, for what they did have, I do think that they actually did put their all into it, and I think they did all they could to really actually make this pretty good. Yeah. So I would definitely say I think that this is the best of the three Jurassic World films, like this was actually one that I actually did enjoy watching. Yeah, because yeah, if you saw my reviews for the first two films, like you, like I wasn't really too high on them. I just really did like say like how the first one really just didn't really have much to offer at all. Like it was just like pretty boring and uninteresting. And yeah, and the second film like really just wasn't very all that interesting either, and it just really did get like pretty absurd and dumb. Yeah, but with this film, like after all that dumbness, like it did really get it into like a pretty bad predicament. But yeah, I like I said, I did actually think that what they had to work with, they actually did do a decent job of concluding the story. Yeah, so overall, yeah, I actually did like the film. Like I said, I do think that it is the best of the three Jurassic World films so far, and of all the films of the series, I actually think that I would say that this is probably the second best one. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that should probably tell you like the enjoyment that I got out of the film. Because yeah, if you've seen my other reviews for the like all the Jurassic Park films, like not just these like the first two Jurassic World films, but of the other Jurassic Park films in general, like I wasn't really like that high on them. Like I've said before, like I just didn't like Lost World at all. Like I really do find Lost World to be the worst one of the series. Yeah, and Jurassic Park 3, like I did say that I overall like did like the film, but yeah, I do think that this one is actually better. So yeah, so of all the films, I do say that this is probably the second best of the entire Jurassic Park series. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so the story for the film, like I said, it continues on with the story that like the second film left off on, with the dinosaurs being like freed into the world. Yeah, and it's set like 4 years after the events. Yeah, and it's showing how like dinosaurs are like roaming free in the earth, and it's showing how there's been a number of like dinosaur related deaths of humans. Yeah, yeah, and it shows now that like after like what occurred in the previous film, it shows that now Owen and Claire are now like living in a remote cabin in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and where they are actually caring for Maisie now. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and in this film, like there's this like a new dinosaur research facility that's called Bison Genetics, and it's showing how they are like trying to find like some cures for diseases, and apparently they actually are like trying to find Maisie because they want to study her DNA. Yeah, and yeah, in this film, of course, like Owen and Claire really do want to keep Maisie safe because they know that like there are going to be like some scientists after her to run some tests on her, but Maisie still does like keep like leaving the cabin and actually sneaking away into towns. Yeah, and then eventually then and Bison eventually ends up locating her and end up kidnapping her. And it also shows that the Velociraptor from the previous two films, Blue, like also is like shown that like she ended up like reproducing, and she now has like an offspring. And yeah, Maisie ended up like naming this like this offspring Beta. Yeah, and so yeah, and then Beta ended up like getting kidnapped along with a bison. Yeah, yeah, and so yeah, so basically like for this film, it shows that like it really is just like Owen and Claire really like trying to like chase down like Bison and try to find Maisie. So yeah, so that is really like what Owen and Claire really doing throughout this movie. They really are just trying to find Maisie. Yeah. So yeah, so that's really like the story with Owen and Claire in the film. And yeah, and as far as like how it is with like them bringing back the original characters with Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm, like it shows that like how there's like this these swarms of like giant locusts that have like ended up just like they were like extinct at a point, but it shows now that they have just like reappeared, and they are really like threatening the world's food supply. And then as I showed Ellie was studying them, she then discovered that they are actually avoiding eating crops that are grown with the bison seed, and then she then has the suspicion that they were actually created by bison. Yeah, yeah, and then then as she was looking more into them, she felt that the DNA is actually altered with the genes that were extinct since the Cretaceous. Is that how it's said? Yeah, yeah. Then she eventually ends up uh, uh, tracking down Dr. Grant, who's now doing his own project, digging in Utah. Yeah. Then they reunite with each other. Of course, as Jurassic Park 3 showed, they were no longer together like they were in the first film. Yeah. And and Ellie she ended she was talking with Dr. Grant, catching up with him. Yeah. And she was just saying how her two boys that were seen in Jurassic Park 3, they're now grown up in college and stuff. So yeah, so it shows how much time has passed by since we last saw them. Yeah. Then as Ellie explained the situation to Dr. Grant, then Dr. Grant then agreed to help Ellie investigate the operations. Yeah. Yeah. And it shows then how they then eventually then went to Bison, and it also it's shown that like Bison is headed by Lewis Dodgson. So yeah, so Lewis Dodgson is another returning character from the film. Yeah, you remember Dodgson from the original Jurassic Park? Yeah, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you do remember him. But yeah, for those of you who don't, yeah, he was in the scene in the first Jurassic Park where he met with Dennis Nedry. He and actually did give him that a barbasol can with the canister to actually store the dinosaur embryos to get off of the island. So yeah, but yeah, in this film, he is played by a different actor this time than he was in the original Jurassic Park. Yeah, yeah. In the original Jurassic Park, Dodgson was played by Cameron Thorpe, but in this movie, he's played by Campbell Scott. Yeah, yeah, and it shows that on well yeah, in he's doing some illegal activities on with a bison. Bison, yeah, 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 and it shows that Dr. Malcolm is also now working for a bison as well. Well, yeah, then yeah, then it showed how Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm all were they banded together to actually really try to uncover the illegal activities. Yeah, yeah, and it showed that a communications director for a bison, Ramsey Cole, is actually assisting them. Yeah, and it's shown that Doctor Wu genetically engineered the locust to only consume rival companies' uh, crops, so bison could dominate the agricultural market. Yeah, 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 and then yeah. So we really do have these two separate plots going on with the stuff with Owen and Claire trying to find Maisie in the movie, and the stuff with Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, Dr. Malcolm trying to like uh, uncover Dachshund's plans. Yeah, so we really have the two separate stories in this movie. Yeah, we don't actually see the original characters and the new characters. We don't see Dr. Grant, Dr. Malcolm, and Dr. Sattler actually with Owen and Claire and Maisie until probably the last third of the movie. Yeah, so yeah, most of the movie. Well, yeah, not really. The first two thirds of the movie really are just the two separate stories going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then eventually, Claire and Owen are able to attract Maisie and Belta to Malta, where they were infiltrating a dinosaur black market, and yeah, then it showed that authorities ended up raiding the market, and dinosaurs were like unintentionally released, which caused havoc. And then eventually, Claire and Owen were informed by a bison employee that Maisie and Beta were being taken to Bison's headquarters in Italy's Dolomites mountain range. Yeah. Then they eventually came across a cargo pilot, Kayla Watts, who actually does have access to Bison's headquarters, and then she helped get Owen and Claire there. Yeah, yeah. Then eventually it showed as Maisie and uh, Beta were then arrived at the Bison headquarters. Wu then ended up meeting Maisie, and then he ended up explaining to her that while like that she is not actually a clone as the previous film established. He, it turns out that uh, Claire's well, not Claire, Maisie's mother, Charlotte actually used her DNA to create Maisie as her own child, and her mother Charlotte ended up dying from a genetic disease, but Maisie's DNA was altered to make her immune from that disease. Yeah, yeah, and we'll believe that Maisie and Beta's DNA are the keys to actually creating a pathogen that could actually halt the locust outbreak. Yeah, yeah. Then eventually, Owen, Claire, and Kayla ended up arriving at the Bison airspace. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, as the helicopter ended up or the plane rather, ended up being attacked by some Quetzalcoatlus. Is that how it's said? Yeah. Claire was ejected as Owen and Kayla ended up crash landing, but they survived. Yeah, yeah. Then with Claire being ejected, they were separated for a point, but they eventually ended up regrouping together. Yeah, yeah. Then as Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler then were trying to discover some more of Dodgson's plans. They eventually found access to a restricted lab where they stole a sample of locust DNA. Yeah, but then with Maisie then eventually ended up escaping from Doctor Wu, and then she eventually ended up coming across Doctor Grant, Doctor Sattler. Then she explained who she was to them and that her grandfather knew John Hammond and stuff. So then Maisie then tried to escape with Doctor Grant, Doctor Sattler. And yeah. But then once Dodgson eventually then figured out what Doctor Grant, Doctor Sattler were up to, you then like he ended up then just attempted to destroy all evidence of any locust DNA and his plans, and ended up starting a forest fire inadvertently. Yeah, and he also ended up firing Ian from Biosin, and due to exposing his operation. Yeah, then eventually Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Maisie ended up escaping through a subterranean amber mine, and they eventually then like met up with Dr. Malcolm. Yeah, then as they ended up trying to flee, they eventually came across Owen, Claire, and Kayla. Then with everyone then reuniting, then like uh, Dodgson then tried to leave with the dinosaur embryos in a hyperloop, but then the power then eventually ended up failing, and Dodgson then ended up just being killed by three Dilophosauruses. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then uh Dr. Grant, Dr. Malcolm, Dr. Sattler, Owen, Claire, Hare, Ramsey, and Maisie then all worked together to call the dinosaurs to Bison headquarters to protect them from the fire, and then And yeah, then they were also able to rescue Beta, and then yeah, then as like a Giganosaurus then was terrorizing them. Then the Giganosaurus was like killed by a Therizinosaurus and a T Rex. Then they were able to escape Ape, and they ended up escaping along with Wu. And after Wu claimed that like he was able to eradicate locusts. Yeah, yeah. Then it showed then the and a locust carrying like the pathogen that was discovered heard by Wu as he was studying Mazian Beta, Beta, yeah. And then Wu released a locust carrying that, then the locust ended up being eradicated, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, then with all the, like everything like being solved and everything was all adoption's plans were now like done, and not gonna be carried out. Yeah, show then how Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler then like ended up like reuniting with each other in a romantic relationship, and then showed how they were actually going to be like testifying against Bison along with Dr. Malcolm and Ramsey. Yeah, and it showed them how also Owen, Claire, and Maisie ended up returning home and reunited Beta with Blue, and then it showed now dinosaurs were able to adapt and coexist with modern animals. Well, then, and there was now like a new dinosaur sanctuary, Bison Valley. Yeah, yeah, and that's how the movie ended. Yeah, so yeah, so yeah, like I said, like while this film really didn't have a lot to work off of, given that like the story that these films have been telling have been like pretty just very over the top and absurd. I really think that this film really did a pretty e- nice job and did a pretty solid job at really like a concluding the story. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really do think that they probably like decided to go all out and do the best job they could to finally finally like conclude this story. And yeah, and I do think that they really did do pretty well with it. Like, yeah, I do think that the story that this film had told, like to conclude it, I do think they did a pretty good job with it. And yeah, and it was good to see Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm back. They did bring back Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum to reprise roles. As well. Yeah, it was cool to like see them like interact with the new characters, Owen and Claire. Yeah, and it was kind of nice to see like how they actually did know each other. Like there was a point like when they all met up, how Owen actually told Dr. Grant how he was like really like inspired by Dr. Grant, and Dr. Grant did know who Owen was and how he is able to train raptors and everything. Yeah. So it was cool to really like see like them really work together to like really stop Dodgson's plans on Bison and save the dinosaurs. So like I said, I do think that of the three Jurassic World films, this is probably the best one, and probably the second best film of the entire Jurassic Park series. So yeah, so Oh yeah. So despite the fact that like these Jurassic World films were absolutely pointless to do, yeah, at least now they finally did do a Jurassic World film right. They did bring back the original characters, and yeah, and it was cool to see like these dinosaurs. I do think that the dinosaurs in this film have looked the best that they have in all three of these Jurassic World films. Yeah, and and just like I said, I do think that they did a pretty solid job with the concluding the story. So hopefully now they will finally put this franchise to rest, and there will be no more films made. Hopefully, like in another 20 years. Well, yeah, 20 years from now, they will not like just trying to milk money from this franchise again and make another unnecessary trilogy. Hopefully now this is the end of the series. But yeah, I do like this film, and I do think that it is definitely the best of the three films. Yeah. So overall, I guess I would actually give this film a recommendation. Yeah. Even if you are like me and not a supporter of the Jurassic World films, at least this will actually be like a Jurassic World film done right with bringing back the original characters and everything. Yeah. So yeah, so I guess this is really is a case where like the third time is the charm because yeah, this is finally a Jurassic World movie done right. All right. So yeah, so I guess that's the best way I can put it. All right. So yeah, so I guess this is all I can really say about it. All right. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion. So yeah, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Yeah, and yeah, and of course, like with this film, like being a big film released this past weekend, yeah, there is of course like another big film that's being released this coming weekend. Again, and that is of course the new Lightyear movie. The new Lightyear movie does come out this upcoming weekend. Yeah, so yeah, so like I did with this film, yeah, I am gonna be go seeing the new Lightyear film this upcoming weekend, and just like this video, I will be making a video to give my thoughts on the new Lightyear movie as well when I go see that. So that'll probably come around sometime this coming weekend or like sometime next week. Yeah, so stay tuned for that coming up, probably within the next week or so. All right, but yeah, not till at least this coming weekend. All right. Yeah, so that'll be coming up. All right. But yeah, but I hope you guys did enjoy this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.